Hey everybody, it's Miss Gill. Somebody asked me about page 29. They didn't give a specific problem, so I just picked three random ones. Um, so, as always, read the directions first. It says, solve each equation. The answers are mixed up at the bottom of the page. Cross out the answers as you complete the problems. Okay, so these are all two-step equations. I've listed those two steps over there on the right hand side. The first step is in red, and the second step is in green. Okay, so let's read the first step. Isolate the variable term using inverse operations on the constant. Okay, if you don't know what any of those words mean, then you're going to be really confused. So isolate, if you know what isolation in prison is, then that means to get it by itself. So I'm going to say by itself. Isolate the variable term of, let me draw that a little bit better there. Just erase the T. Go back. The variable term is the term with the unknown. In our case, the variable term is going to be 2x because x is our unknown. So that's our variable term. We'll make a note of that. 2x. Using inverse operations. Inverse means opposite. Make a note of that. Opposite. And operations are just the four operations you've used since grade school: add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So that's add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So inverse operations would be the opposite of addition is subtraction. The opposite of subtraction is addition. The opposite of multiplication is division. And the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So we're going to get the unknown, the term with the unknown by itself using opposite operations on the constant. A constant is just the number term. The plain old number term. Hopefully that makes the cut there. Number term. Okay, so let's do this. I'll do the first step in red since that's what I made the first step. I'm going to draw a line down the middle here. So I want to get this variable term by itself using inverse operations on the constant. So this is the constant. So how do I get rid of add 25? I take away 25 or subtract 25. And to keep this equation balanced, we use properties of equality, which just means to keep it balanced, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. Okay, so the way that this isolates the variable term is this add 25 and subtract 25 now cancel each other out. So we're just left with the 2x. That's what we want. We're a little bit closer to getting the x by itself. Because solving means get the unknown by itself. Figure out what the unknown is. Okay, that's some pretty easy subtraction. So now we're on step 2. Isolate the variable, not the variable term, just the variable. So we're going to be isolating x this time around. So isolate the variable by using inverse operations on the coefficient. The coefficient is the number in front of the variable. Number in front of the variable. So in this case, it's 2. And 2x means 2 multiplied by x, 2 times x. So to get rid of the times 2, we're going to have to do the opposite, the inverse, which is divide 2. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So the times 2, even though you can't really see it, it is times 2. The times 2 and the divide 2 are going to undo each other. So we're just left with x, which is exactly what we want. And over on the left-hand side, we have to figure out what is 110 divided by 2. Well, again, that's pretty easy. That's 55. And I'm going to look over here on my packet real quick. And yes, x equals 55 is on there. The last column, the second entry in the last column. Okay, let's try 2 more real quick now that we know what we're doing. Scroll down a bit. Okay, we'll start in red again. Isolate the variable term. Here's my term with my unknown. Using inverse operations on the constant. So this is subtraction. We get rid of subtraction with addition. Add 4.5. So I'm trying to get rid of that minus 4.5. So the 3x is isolated. Okay, over here on the left-hand side, this is pretty easy because the minus 4.5 and the add 4.5 will undo each other. And I'm just left with 3x. Over here on the right-hand side, it's a little bit harder. You got to remember that rap song, different sign subtract. So I'm actually going to be subtracting these 2 things, which isn't bad. 1/2 minus 1/2, that goes away, so there won't be any fractional part. 19 minus 4 is 15. So we got 3x equals 15. Step 2. Isolate the variable by using inverse operations on the coefficient. So to get rid of times 3, I'm going to have to divide 3. Do it on both sides. On the left-hand side, the times 3 and the divide 3 will undo each other, so you're just left with x. And on the right-hand side, 15 divided by 3 is 5. Let me make sure that's an answer in the packet. And no, it's not. I've got a -5. Oh! I've made a mistake up here in the first step. Right here. We did subtract them, but I forgot the second part of the rap song that says, different keep the larger. Since 19 is larger than 4, we're going to keep that negative sign. So let me fix that real quick. So that would have been -15. And -15 divided by 3 is -5. Good thing I checked. And now you can't even see that 3. There we go. Alright, so -5 is the first entry in the third column there at the bottom. Alright, last problem. Isolate the variable term using inverse operations on the constant. The opposite of addition is subtraction. So we got to do that to both sides. The right-hand side is pretty easy because the plus 12 and the minus 12 undo each other. So I pretty much just bring that -1/4 x down. And over here on the left, 10 minus 12 is -2. If you don't know that in your head, you can do the rap song again. 10's positive, so they have different signs. Different signs subtract, and different keep the larger. Well, 12 is larger and it's negative, so keep the negatives. Step 2. Isolate the variable by using inverse operations on the coefficient. our coefficient is -1/4. So to get rid of times -1/4, we have to divide -1/4. The right hand side is easy to get rid of. They just kind of get rid of each other. The times -1/4 and divide -1/4. So I'm just left with x. And on the left hand side, I can do some keep, change, flip here. So keep, change that fraction bar division to multiplication. And then I have to flip the -1/4 to 4/1. Okay, a negative times a negative is a positive. So my answer is going to be positive. 2 times 4 is 8, and 1 times 1 is 1. 8/1 is just 8. Is that at the bottom of the page? Yes, second column, third entry. All right, that's it for this video. Hope it helps. Thank you. Bye.